What's good, my madness society? It is your host with the most, Shadowloke, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was Phoenix Jones. Who is Phoenix Jones? Well, now, this is an interesting story. Now, first of all, I want to say that I'm not making none of this up, right? You could go and research it yourself. You know, I always come out here knowing you guys could go and research what I'm saying, right? So this is actually real things that's happening and real events that occur. Phoenix Jones is an individual who's from Seattle, right? Born in Seattle. He was, a foster kid, right? So his parents gave him up. You know, he got adopted. He ended up getting adopted to this family, right? Ended up, running a daycare center or whatever, and so he lived in a bad area, I guess, with a lot of crime, and dad broke into his car, and his kid had gotten injured, right, and people had seen, but they didn't report it or didn't try to stop the bad guys, right, so he got tired of all the crime in his area, so he took it upon himself to fight crime, right, like he took it upon himself to now stop criminals, right? Like drug dealers, carjackers, people that try to rob people in the streets, people that try robbing liquor stores. He became a superhero. And I'm not making this up. I'm being dead serious. He literally became a superhero, like mask, costume, and everything, bro. Like he's out there fighting gang members and drug dealers and shit like that. No, it gets wilder. It gets wilder. So, this guy's running around Seattle, right? Stopping, drunk fights outside of bars and clubs. And, when people protest, make sure that they don't get out of line. He's armed with a pepper spray, a grappling hook, a net gun that he himself has said that they don't work, right? Because, obviously, this is the real world, right? So, obviously, that stuff's not going to work in the real world. See, the thing that fascinates me with this story, right, is the delusion of the human mind, right? Like, as an adult, he couldn't realize that a grappling hook and a net gun was not going to work in the real world. And this guy, he doesn't have nothing wrong with him. Like, he's not he's not on drugs. He doesn't have, no mental disorder. He's, as a matter of fact, he's an MMA fighter. An average MMA fighter, right? But he does MMA, right? So the guy could fight, right? Even though his MMA career wasn't that great, compared to the everyday, people in the streets, he's a good fighter, right? So he has, MMA, background, right? He has legit fights. Like, he actually has legit fights. I think his record was like 7-7 or something like that, right? So the guy's, he could have handled his own, right? Like, when it comes to fighting. But see, this is the thing, though. In the comic books, that works, right? In comic books and in movies, it works because it's scripted, right? You have the author, the guy that's writing the story. You have him putting stuff at a convenience, right? And making sure that nothing really happens to the hero. He's always going to put him in a situation where he could overcome his, obstacles, right? But see, in the real world, it's not like that. You have nobody writing this story, right? So these quote-unquote bad guys are unpredictable, and there's no script to this, right? So they will shoot and kill you, bro. They will hurt you. They will literally kill and hurt you, right? He could be an MMA fighter, the best in the world. Bodies just can't stop bullets, bro, or knives. Or no matter how good of a fighter is, if there's a lot of guys on the opposite side, you're gonna get your ass beat. Because it has happened to him time and time after again. Broken ribs, broken noses. He's gotten stabbed. He's gotten shot. He's came really close to losing his life a gang of times, right? But the story gets weirder, right? So he's running around Seattle, and the cops don't like it, right? Because he's making their job harder now, right? He's putting people's lives in jeopardy. He's putting his own life in jeopardy, right? He's just creating more work for them, even though he thinks he's helping, right? So, just like everything, right, this story, spreads on the news and it goes, viral, whatever. So then now more people start coming out as superheroes, right? So then they're now in their cities, right? Florida, Tennessee. You have superheroes popping out of everywhere, right? Obviously, with no real superpowers because this is the real world, so real superpowers do not exist, right? I mean, for heaven's sakes, there's this one guy that they asked him what his superpower. He said that his superpower is he's able to tell time without a watch, and he was being dead serious. He wasn't even joking around, and he has no mental issues to him either, right? Lets you see the reality of the human mind, right, and the people that are out there. So these individuals are now out there, so he decides to put them all together, like create his own Avengers or the Justice League, right? Like he gathers them up, right? And they have to have like either military background or police background or have to know MMA, have to have bulletproof vests and blah blah blah, right? So then they are out there patrolling together, even when the Black Lives Matter riots were going, right? Because George Floyd, they were out there protecting the cities and making sure nobody vandalized and yada yada. Obviously, they were getting their asses handed to them, and there's a bunch of videos of them getting their asses beat and stuff like that. Like I said, bro, they're more of a nuisance than actually helping, right? Because this is the real world. Superheroes just can't really happen in the real world because this is not scripted. While comic books and movies are, they didn't bother to, think about that and piece that together, right? Like, that is scripted, bro. There's somebody, putting stuff at convenience and moments at a convenience and telling the story in a way where the heroes could come out on top. This is the real world. You don't have that same luxury, so, you're gonna have bad things happening to real individuals, right? So then you have more people now coming out. Now you're encouraging this kind of behavior. So now you have all these people popping out as heroes, right? So then, just like everything, right? They start clashing now because everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants to do things their way. Phoenix Jones feels like he's the one that started this. So he feels like, I'm the motherfucker that started this. And this is the motherfucking thanks I get. Hello. He feels like he's the OG, right? So he feels like all these other superheroes are fake and they're not on his level. As you can tell already, narcissistic behavior starts showing its face. But, I mean, the guy's running around out there videotaping himself being a hero. Hence, narcissist was written all over that, right? My guy wanted to be in the spotlight. He wanted that attention. And I want to say that it goes back to his childhood and being in a foster home, right? He was given away by his parents, so he felt like his parents didn't want him, like there was something wrong with him, like he wasn't important. Like if, so he wanted to, leave his mark, right? I am somebody important. I am not just some other individual. Like I was special and you just let me go. Why, he wanted the spotlight, right? He felt like this was a way for him to try to leave his mark, right? So now he started clashing with all these other heroes and telling them that they can't be superheroes, right? And that only he could be the real hero and the real one that's in charge. If you hear his videos, because there's videos out there of him, you can find them on YouTube, right? And the way he talks, you could just hear the arrogance and the narcissism in him, right? Like, oh, these guys ain't on his level and yada yada, right? So the group breaks up, right? Even his girlfriend was a superhero, right? And, he's like, yeah, she was the one because she's patching him up with his stab wounds and shot wounds and stuff like that, right? As a matter of fact, there was an incident. I think somebody tried to kill them, right, for being idiots, right? Because, now these guys pointed a target on their back. So now these drug dealers and gang members are looking to find these guys and see how test their real superhero-ness, right? So I think a girl ended up getting killed by accident because they were aiming for them, right? So that hit him pretty bad, right? Like, because obviously that's what's going to happen, bro. And you're putting real people's lives in jeopardy for your stupid behaviors, right? Just because you want a little bit of attention, you're putting real lives at risk, right? With your goofy behavior. That's why there's law enforcement. That's why people, create laws. That's for that to take care of it. This is not a fucking movie or comic book where you have people with, metahuman powers, right? Where you need heroes, bro. That's why that concept doesn't work in the real world, bro. I get your intentions, but I want to call bullshit that it was all just done for attention, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna get to why it was done for attention, right? So, yada yada. They're going around, police, give him a hard time. The group finally splits up. His girl leaves him, right? Because he ended up, it turns out he was stealing from the superhero group, right? He was taking their money, telling them about, this insurance. They were paying him for insurance that he never gave them like proof that they actually had insurance, like health insurance, right? They would give him money for bulletproof vests. He would keep the money, right? So he was doing shady shit to his teammates, right? So then reports start coming in, right? That he was selling drugs, right? So the cops did a sting operation, right? And ended up buying some cocaine and some other stuff from this individual. The same individual who's fighting drug dealers and beating up drug addicts and beating up drunk people and claiming to help the city of Seattle and that he's for the people and that he's really there to protect his city. He wasn't selling drugs, and he got arrested. Obviously, he didn't get arrested for that long because I don't know why, and he ended up being back in the streets, right? So, yeah, this is real shit, bro. Like, I wish I was making all of this shit up, bro. Like, you could go look all of this up. This is real shit, real people that be doing this kind of shit, bro. And like I said, it was all done for attention because he really didn't care about the city. He didn't really care about stopping crime. He wanted attention. He wanted the spotlight. I mean, he was selling drugs, bro. I mean, that's all the proof you need that motherfucker was full of shit. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised to hear that he grew up in a foster home. I'm not. I actually expected to hear something like that. Because I heard when my subscriber told me about this case, whatever, I heard about first, about the whole adult thing. And then I went and digged into his childhood, right? So I wasn't surprised to see that he was given up and was raised in a foster home. I actually was expecting to see that. I was expecting to see something like that, right? Because this type of behavior just doesn't manifest out of nothing, right? So, I was actually, not shocked, to find out his childhood, how it went, right? Because it explains a lot of his adult behavior, right? And there's a lot of individuals out there, who now he sparked up this wave of people who think that they're heroes and think that they're helping, but they're really not. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a cry for attention, bro. That's all it is in the real world. Because, they're putting their lives in jeopardy and individuals, in jeopardy, right? Because then, when you try to, quote unquote help, right? You're going to escalate these people's behaviors and escalate the crime and the scenario that's happening, right? Remember, these are desperate people. We're talking about drug dealers or drug addicts or any criminal, right? And they, most of the time they're on drugs, right? So by you now interfering and you're going to escalate the scenario instead of diffusing it, right? You're going to get these people to panic and end up doing something that they probably, that necessarily probably wouldn't have happened if you didn't, stick your nose in the scene, right? Like I said, let the cops handle it. That's their job. That's what they're there for. He had said supposedly that when he was selling drugs and he got caught up, he said that he did care, but it was just that he felt like he was the only one that cared, and that if he stops fighting crime, that the city will fall apart. This guy lives in his own bubble. He literally thinks that he's the only thing that's keeping Seattle safe. That's that narcissist behavior. He thinks he's that important, but that's all it is. It's a personality disorder, with him. But yeah, if you guys are interested, you can go read up on it. It's a trip, but hey, leave your thoughts in the comments. Shadow, we out.